At this point, I did stay. Why? I do not know. Maybe I was, thinking that we could. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you what I was thinking at that time. Actually, I don't even know what my thought process was. I know I didn't believe the story, so I still don't know why I decided to stay. Um, at this point, we're still 6 months in, under 6 months to dating at this time. So now I'm, at this point I'm pregnant. I'm starting to ask questions, really try to dig into his family and really understand him more. So I started asking him about his mother because from my understanding, he was not raised by his mom. He was raised by his dad to a certain time. Then his auntie raised him. So I was curious as to why him and his siblings weren't close. Even if his mother didn't raise him, I wanted to, know why they weren't close. So he had told me a story about his one sibling because he had two sisters. One lived in another state, and one lived in the state that we lived in at that time. So I ended up reaching out to his sister, just to try to talk to her and connect with her because again, I'm having her niece or her nephew. So he finds out that I reached out to her. He flips his shit. I'm talking about he got hella mad. He's yelling, he's screaming, he's throwing a tantrum. And this day I was just like, I feel like Jocelyn, bitch, you look a mess. So I was like, what? I was like, I'm not doing this with you. This is when I was like, I'm not doing this. I don't want this relationship anymore. I'm done. Get your shit. Get out my house. Type shit. So I leave the house and he's calling me back to back to back to back to back. Keep calling, keep calling, keep calling. I'm ignoring the calls, ignoring the calls. Then, I finally decided to pick up the phone and he's sobbing on the phone. He's crying. He's like, my grandma just died. You're doing all this and my grandma just died. And I'm like, whatever. So I go back to the house and um I basically turned around, went back to the house. I'm like, you know, I'm a compassionate person, empath, and I go back to the house. I walk in. I don't see him in the living room. I don't see him in our room. He's in the bathroom. This boy is in the bathroom trying to hang himself from the shower rod. But keep in mind, he's about 6'5", and he's damn near taller than my apartment at the time. So it was impossible for him to hang himself. But he tried. He had like a tie. He was trying to wrap it around his neck and trying to hang himself from the shower rod, but it just wasn't working. Um, so I don't. I do remember this. My ass. I'm talking about something. I walked up to him. I'm like, you won't be able to hang yourself. You're too fucking tall. Stop doing dumb shit. And I took the tie from him and I pulled him out the bathroom. So he's crying. He's talking about his grandma died, and he talked to his grandma every single day. So I'm like, damn, that's crazy. That's fucked up. Just really, you know, trying not to harp on the fact that we're supposed to be broken up, but just trying to be there for him. So after this, he was just kind of like a shell of himself. You know, he would only leave the house to go see his auntie. I would take time off of work to, make sure that he's okay and make sure he doesn't attempt a no suicide kind of thing again. So him and his auntie, his grandma lived in another state. Him and his auntie go down to where the grandma lived so that they can go to her funeral. So they went to her funeral. He comes back and he came back I think a week after that. And okay, so fast forward, after the funeral, whatever, months pass. At this time I'm struggling. um I don't even remember why I was struggling, but it just became, I guess the reason why I probably was struggling is because here's another person in my household that I'm taking care of, and I'm on like this small ass income because back then I was doing home health care. Not home health care. I was a state test nursing assistant, and I wasn't really making no big money to be, taking care of no full house. I had a daughter, a small daughter at that time. I had no, I do know why. So he didn't like the car that I had. Jesus, when I'm thinking about, stuff just starting to come back. I had me a little Ford Focus. He didn't like my Ford Focus. So he said, let's get a new car. I'll help you pay the car note. I went and got a car note. I didn't have a car note with my Ford Focus. I was just fine with my Ford Focus. But I'm like, okay, maybe I will need a new car since I'm having a baby. He's gonna help me. I go and I get a car note. Now I'm at a $400 car note. I got rent. I got a kid I'm taking care of. I got to put food in the house because I wasn't getting no food stamps. I wasn't getting nothing. Um, Only thing I probably was getting at that time was childcare, and so um, it became too much to try to do, and I started struggling. So he was like, "Well, why don't we move into my aunt's house? That way, it'll take off some of the bills, and this will help us, and then by the time the baby comes, we'll have enough saved, and we can, basically get back on foot." So I'm like, okay, I'm not against this plan at this time. So we move in with the aunt, and almost immediately, I just noticed that she's different, like different as fuck. And maybe their relationship was, I'm not even gonna say weird, but she seemed just really overprotective of him. Mind you, this boy's in his mid 20s, but and it could again be because of the fact that she did raise him. But one thing I did not like about her is upon meeting her, she kind of like was insinuating that I wasn't really pregnant. She claimed that his ex girlfriend had claimed to be pregnant and she never was. And I'm like, well, I got ultrasounds. This boy done been to the doctor with me, everything. Like, ain't nobody got to lie about being pregnant, especially when I'm the one that's taking care of everything. Make it make sense. So she was like, well, I just want to be sure, because people do lie. Girl, anyways. But fast forward, me and her, we started getting to know one another. She was cool. I'm not gonna say she was the best person because she was very sneaky. They definitely was two peas in a pod. But one time, me and her, we were sitting down having a conversation, and I don't even remember exactly what the conversation about, but it was in regards to her mother. So I said to her, "Yeah, when your mother died, you know, he was really sad." And she was like, "Who mother died?" And I said, "Yours." She said, "My mama not dead." And I said, "Yes, she is." She said, "My mother is not dead." And I said, "Yes, she is."